Welcome to the KX Country Clubhouse, as we call it, and we have a very special guest joining us, ready to release his sixth studio album, April 1st. I hope it's not an April Fool's joke. Thomas Rhett, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's actually not coming out.
It's not coming out.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Yes, it is coming out. It is coming out. That has seemed to be a trend, man. When the label said they wanted to do it on April Fool's Day, I was like, that's going to confuse a lot of people. but here we are.
You had me scared there for about 10 seconds. I thought, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure about this. But anyway,
no, it's for real. It's for real.
Yeah. And I'm excited about it for a number of reasons, but I want to delve into where the idea, where we started came from, because a lot of us have sort of gone back to square one after everything we've been through for the past couple of years. Is that part of it when you were thinking about this album?
Yeah, man. I think over the last couple of years, a lot of people have done some pretty intense reflection, in their lives. At least I have. Sure you have as well. But, it was about a month ago where I found out that it was like 10 years to the date since I'd released my first single to country radio. And in many ways, 10 years is not long, but it is long. That's a decade of time. And I look back through my career and I don't know, I can vividly remember being in a van with the band and, playing every, no-name bar from, Nashville to Seattle and up through Canada. And no one was there. It was like 10 people would show up or 30 people would show up. And then, you get some traction and now 100 people show up and then 1,000 people show up. And it's just, really just a reflection of gratitude, honestly, for just the people in my life that I feel like have kind of spurred me along to get to the point that I'm at in my career and really just kind of looking forward to another decade, of getting to create, getting to play, getting to entertain. And so in many ways where we started, a lot of these songs are pretty nostalgic and pretty heavy, but also just a lot of the trends on this record remind me of kind of where I began and why I was listening to music in the first place. And so, yeah, man, in many ways where we started means a lot to me from a looking back standpoint.
Yeah. And now I think I heard you mention that the album was designed to have songs built for live performances. Was that part of the process in putting this together as well? So that once you do get back on stage, it's a song you can get up there and really perform and make a connection with the audience.
Yeah, man. I put Country Again Side A out this time last year. And, I think a lot of people were slightly confused as to why this record was coming out. And to be honest with you, I was too. Sometimes you just can't control the path of creativity. You can't control when songs hit you when they do and when certain ideas hit you when they do. And for me, I was kind of in the process of making Side B early 2021, and then we got on the road and all that kind of changed for me. I got to be in front of people again in a real way. And that is not something that I had done for a year and a half, and was just thinking about, our live show, like how important that is to me. You know what I mean? Like besides making an album, like the live show is my baby. Like I really spend a lot of time nitpicking the details of a live show to make sure that people are having as much fun as humanly possible for 2 hours, and so I called some of the co-writers and I was like, hey, I think we're done with Side B, but I just want to try one or two things. And so that trying one or two things led into an entire different project, which is the album Where We Started that comes out April 1st. And so this record to me is very special. A lot of the songs that I think were going to be on Side B ended up making it on here. So it's a really neat blend of Side A and some of my previous records, which are kind of a little more progressive and really tailored for live moments and crowd interaction and that's just where my brain was at. I can't really explain it any more than that, but that's kind of how the cards fell.
Now, I want to get into some of the artists that you've got guests on this album and their appearance on it. But what were some of the challenges getting back on stage? We've talked to other artists who a lot of them say, oh, I forgot some of the words to my songs, or I forgot the nuance of being on stage and feeling the crowd and letting them be part of it and maybe carry the performance sometimes. Was that any kind of a problem for you? Any roadblocks that you reached when getting back on stage?
Yeah, 100%. in the last couple of years, I've invested in a teleprompter, which has really saved me from forgetting any words on stage. When you start playing 20 plus songs in your show, you're going to forget something. That's a lot of things to remember. But for me, I think the biggest roadblock was kind of forgetting how to talk to a mass group of people. I think when you don't do that for a year, that's not like riding a bike. That is like something that has to have repetition. And so I remember getting out there the first few nights, finishing songs, and then just being like, all right, well, here's the next one. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to be really good at leading a crowd and communicating with the crowd. And that took me a couple months to get back into the swing of that, but I feel like it's back. And, I think that's one of the biggest reasons I'm looking forward to this tour is I love getting to talk to mass groups of people, putting smiles on their faces, making them laugh, making them dance. Like it's what I feel like I was kind of put on this earth to do in some way. So
You almost have to talk to a big crowd like that as if they're one person. Do you find that
yeah,
helps?
yeah, it definitely does, man. Because it's easy to kind of center out the left side and the right side and the people on the grass and the people in the front or the people in the nosebleeds or the front row seats. And when you can just kind of make conversation in a general way that can relate to everyone else like that, those are how you really interact with 15,000 people at the same time. So
We've got some great help on this album, some guest appearances, and I noticed that you co-wrote all of those songs as well. Did you write those songs for people like Tyler Hubbard, Russell Dickerson, Riley Green, Katy Perry, with them in mind, or did that just sort of happen by chance?
I think every collaboration I've ever done happened by chance. I have ideas in my head, when I finish a song, I'm like, man, this would be kind of cool if someone sang this with me. But it's really not until we get into the studio and start like really tracking these songs. Like I remember when we finished Half of Me, I just kept seeing Riley's face. Like if I were to make a music video, I would try to hire Riley to play the guy in this music video. And so that one made sense to me a bunch. The Tyler and Russell thing was pretty was supposed to happen because we experienced that song together. But Katy Perry was kind of, I won't call it the wild card, but the one that I didn't think that this song was going to have a feature on it, period, until someone brought up the fact that maybe it should have a feature. And then it was Allison Jones at the record label who suggested Katy Perry. And, the next thing you know, she's putting her vocal on it. And we shot a music video for it that'll come out later this year. And just kind of wild, it's kind of like I said, it's hard to plan music because music is kind of ever changing. And especially in the creative capacity, you just kind of have to roll with the punches. So
Who would be your great get if you could get an artist? Any genre, anybody? Is there somebody in your mind that you think I got to get that person on a song?
yeah, I mean, what's funny is I've known Chris Stapleton since I was 19 years old. I mean, we wrote some of my first hits together. He wrote Crash and Burn, which was a single on my second album. Like we've known each other for so long, and then haven't seen each other in a long time until we saw each other at the ACMs, and we were just talking about what a shame it is we hadn't written in so long. And so I would love to be able to sit with Chris for a couple of days and write something that me and him could do together. I think that would be a really full circle moment for me.
Yeah. One of the things I like about you the best is your philanthropic work. Um, doing a lot of work. You've been to Uganda, obviously, your daughter.
Yeah.
Um, and from what I understand, you weren't the first one to find out about Lauren being pregnant when they were over there. Tyler and her, I think, were doing
Oh yeah.
some work over there. So you actually weren't the first one to find out. And now you've got Tyler on the album. There's that relationship there. But talk about the philanthropic work that you do and why it's so important. It really is for artists.
Yeah. I mean, I would say my wife has a huge part to play in that. I do think that without my wife, I would be a decently selfish human being, which I think is why God pairs us with the people that we're supposed to be with. And, getting to know my wife's heart, over the last 20 years we've known each other, like her heart is for other people. Like sometimes I wish my wife was more selfish with her time and with her heart, but she's pretty adamant, man, like about, our money is not really ours. It comes from somewhere else. And like, why would we continue to buy and do all this stuff for ourselves when there are so many more people in need? And that part of her has really, really rubbed off on me. And it's something that's in me now that I'm very grateful for. So whether it comes to, work in Uganda or giving back to the music community or, helping with relief, or, you know, helping play friends benefit concerts when I might not even have any tie to the charity, but I know that they do. It's because I know they would do it for me, you know. And I don't know, man. I think that's probably the biggest reason we're here, is to help give back, and to help those that need it way more than we do. So
Well, you certainly do a great job of it. Which brings me to my next question about Slow Down Summer, first single off Where We Started.
yeah,
I have to talk to you about your performance at the ACMs. That was unbelievable.
thanks, man.
Real transitional performance. You know how you went from sitting down to obviously standing up, and then the explosion,
Yeah,
fireworks. Please tell me that wasn't CGI and it was perfectly planned that way.
no, it was real. Like, I think they had to shut down an area of the road behind the stadium because I think they shot off like $100,000 worth of fireworks right behind the stage. And I don't know. We wanted a big moment, you know, and we were up in that top section of the stadium. And if you've never been there, I'd never seen that stadium. It's one of the most. It's a masterpiece of a football stadium. It looks like you're in a Restoration Hardware, but it's crazy. And so, yeah, that song is just so cinematic feeling that we wanted somewhat of a cinematic look, and everybody loves fireworks, you know, and they hit them off at the right moment. And that song that night felt so much bigger to me than I could have ever imagined. And it was a really, really fun way to that was like my first TV performance of that song. So really, really proud of that.
It's well done. What about the songwriting process for you? Obviously, that's a big part of what you do. As well as the performing. How does the process work for you? Some songwriters, they have to sit down 9 to 5, write songs. Does it come to you and then you write it down on a napkin? What's the process for you?
Yeah, I'm kind of constantly writing down song titles, and really just saving those titles for who I think would fit the best. Every time we go on tour, like, I just got a message on my calendar today to see who all's coming out to different tour stops along the way.
Yeah.
And I know what kind of songs I write with certain people, you know, and I'll save certain titles for my dad because we've talked about him, or I'll save certain titles for, you know, Ashley Gorley and Jesse Frazier, who I've had a ton of success with, or I'll save certain titles for a little more traditional lane, a little more progressive lane, and sometimes I have no titles, and that's a great part of collaborating, is that somebody's always got something to say. But it's different for everybody. You know, sometimes we sit there with no idea and just kind of riff on the piano until something happens, and then sometimes you have an idea and you write it in 30 minutes. It's just kind of you never know how a song's gonna be written, but I think that's the fun of it.
Are there any songs that you've written that are too personal that will probably never be released, or at least not at this time, or just kind of you don't want to get into the emotion of it?
Um, Not that I can. I mean, I pretty much wear it all on my sleeve. You know.
Nice.
I thought Death Row might have been a little bit too personal, but even at the end of the day, I still put that on the record. I feel like I'm pretty good at, you know, knowing what's too far, and what's not, especially from a content perspective. You know what I'm saying? I do want to make sure that, like, I'm not just preaching too far from the inside of the music business. Like, I want to make sure that it's something that can be relatable to everyone, you know? So, but not really, man. I feel like I usually wear my heart on my sleeve, and try to really express what that emotion is. So,
Well, I know us as people that play your songs, and all our fans and listeners appreciate that. They appreciate your honesty, appreciate your music. They're giving me the wrap up here, and I know that the album comes out April 1st. Where We Started, I know we're going to give away copies of that here on the radio station at KX Country. We look forward to that. So, Thomas, thank you so much. I hope to see you in Toronto soon.
yeah, me too.
See you, man.
Me too, man. We're planning on it already. So we can't wait to get back up there.